Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Martial Master based on novel. So let's start. If you are talking about the few guys who came to my ancient medicine hall to make trouble yesterday, it was indeed Ben Shao who killed him. As for which Ouyang Cheng you mentioned, Ben Shao is not in the mood to remember. Ben Shao killed too much garbage. I can't remember it. Qin Chen faintly said lightly. You. A master of the early stage peak of the Earth Saint beside Feng Buchuan suddenly stood up, and a terrifying killing intent burst out, suppressing Qin Chen firmly. Why? I heard that your Jiyu Fengzhai is also a big power, so you don't know the rules? This is my Chundi Pavilion, but it is protected by the laws of Tsengshuan City. You are here to act rudely, and Ben killed you. That is also self-defense. Qin Chen sneered. You wanna die. The big man was so angry that he couldn't suppress it at all, but before he could take a shot, Feng Buchuan immediately shot and stopped him. It's interesting, Chundi Pavilion, where the breaking forces come from, this is the first time the old man has heard. Since you talk about the rules, the old man will talk to you about the rules. Feng Buchuan raised his hand, and he suddenly appeared in his hand. Zhong Agreement, Master of Ancient Medicine, I don't care what you have to do with this Chundi Pavilion, whether you join the other party or deliberately take refuge, you can see it clearly with your own eyes. 3 years ago, you signed an agreement with Jiyu Fengzhai. I pledged the Ancient Medicine Hall to obtain the materials for refining the Hanguichi pill. 3 years later, I will return the Gufangzhai 3 Hanguichi pills. If I can't do it, I will transfer the Gairotang to my Gufangzhai. Now the contract time is up. Please. I ask you, what is the ancient medicine pill? Feng Buchuan took the contract and showed it inside and out, with a mocking sneer at the corner of his mouth. Countless people whispered suddenly outside the ancient medicine hall. Everyone is a saint-level master, and the contract is naturally clear. It is written in black and white, and the contract is drawn. This is absolutely nothing false. Feng Buchuan, you still have the face to say, you used the materials you have made to deceive me, my ancient medicine is endless with you. It's okay for Feng Buchuan not to mention it. When mentioning this, the ancient medicine master immediately stood up angrily and said angrily, Haha, you are also a master of alchemy when you have done tampering. You can eat rice indiscriminately, but you can't talk nonsense. If you did tampering, why didn't you see it at the beginning? Now it is ridiculous to talk about tampering. Feng Buchuan sneered, he really didn't. I thought that this ancient medicine master could still see that the material had moved. Since you can't produce the ancient Ichi pill, there's nothing to say. Come here and accept this ancient medicine hall. According to the agreement, in addition to the things in the ancient medicine hall, everyone in this ancient medicine hall also I want to serve my Jiyu Fengzhai. Feng Buchuan's gaze fell fiercely on Qin Chen. Since your excellency appeared in the ancient medicine hall, representing the ancient medicine master and Feng Mao in negotiations, he is obviously also from the ancient medicine hall. Come, take him down for me, I Jiyu Fengzhai dealt with myself. People, I want to see who dares to gossip. As soon as his voice fell, the 2 ancient Fengzhai Earth Saints would rush up viciously. Wait a minute. Qin Chen gave a cold cry. I want to beg for mercy at this time, it's too late. Feng Buchuan yelled, with a stern look, you kill my ancient Fengzhai people. Today, the old man will break your body into thousands of pieces to relieve the hatred in my heart. Who said Ben Shao asked for forgiveness? Qin Chen sneered, keep your eyes open, don't you want the Hanguichi pill? Here are 3 Hanguichi pills, just take them. Qin Chen raised his hand, and immediately 3 pills flew out and fell into Feng Buchuan's hands. What? Huang Jiyu Yi Qi Dan? The refining of the ancient medicine hall was successful. Suddenly, Jiyu Fengzhai's people were shocked, and their eyes hurriedly looked over, and Feng Buchuan's gaze also fell on the 3 medicinal pills. A breath of loneliness haunted him. Although I don't know how to refine the ancient Ichi pill, I also know the form of this pill. I can see that this is exactly the Hanguichi pill. How many can you get out of the pill after I get it? My ancient medicine hall, I don't welcome a few. Qin Chen sneered, Master of Ancient Medicine, see off the guests. Master Zhai. Several powerful people in Jiyu Fengzhai all looked at Feng Buchuan, and their faces were frightened. Huanggu Ichi pill. What is Huanggu Ichi pill? Have you seen it? Feng Buchuan covered the 3 pill to prevent people outside the ancient medicine hall from seeing it. At the same time, he shook his hand and the 3 pill disappeared immediately. No, I don't know where he received it. At the same time, there were 3 Saint Yuan pills in his hand, and he said coldly, how come the old man sees only 3 Saint Yuan pills? Yeah, we didn't see what an ancient pill of anger. Diabetes will be gone forever. Do this before bed. 7910? 1. 7. Where is the Huanggu Ichi pill? There are clearly 3 holy Yuan pills. Ancient medicine master, your ancient medicine hall can't get the Huanggu Ichi pill. You actually use the holy Yuan pill to pretend to be gods and ghosts, so bold. The strong men of Jiyu Fengzhai were happy, and they all burst into anger. Feng Buchuan, you are mean. The ancient medicine master was shaking with anger. Unexpectedly Feng Buchuan would do such a thing. Humph. Feng Buchuan snorted coldly, the contract has arrived, and your ancient medicine hall can't get the ridiculous pill, but also kills the strong man of my ancient Fengzhai. Today, the old man came here to accept the ancient medicine hall and replace it. My Jiyu Fengzhai's Ouyang Cheng takes revenge. Feng Buchuan finished speaking, and he waved his hand to the several paladins behind him and said, kill this kid and kill the guy next to him. The remaining ancient medicine, both the master and Ariane Shiren, were arrested and sold for my Jiyu Fengzhai in the future. An ant warrior like Qin Chen really couldn't raise his interest in doing it. As for what will be said in the future, it is not up to them as the winner to have the final say. Several local sage martial artists waited for Feng Buchuan to say it a second time, and they had each sacrificed their treasures. Qin Chen sneered and waved his hand. Dozens of flags had been thrown out by him, and the top trapped and killer formations were instantly aroused. Under the command of Qin Chen, the 3 of Shonggukong continued to attack where Qin Chen had dropped the flag. Boom. Even if the ancient medicine hall had a top-notch defensive formation, the earth-shattering shaking and sensational sound instantly spread around the ancient medicine hall. Do it inside. With such a big movement, countless warriors outside the ancient medicine hall suddenly yelled with excitement. All of them crowded around to watch the excitement. Such a big scene is not something you can usually see. For a time, there were many people watching the excitement, but none of them rushed in to intervene. The moment Qin Chen cast down the formation flag, Feng Buchuan felt something was wrong, when he discovered that the entire hall had turned into a misty piece. Then there was a slaughter around him. When he found that there were no other people next to him, he immediately knew. Dao was trapped by the trapped array. Good boy, I don't think you are still a master of formation, no wonder you are so confident. Feng Buchuan sneered. At this time, he already understood why Qin Chen was so confident, thinking that he could be trapped by the formation. Ridiculous. He didn't know anything about the terrifying power of Mid-Earth Holy. Look at the aura of this formation, not even the land grade, your excellency has never broken through even the Earth Saint. The formation at the pinnacle of the mortal grade also wants to trap Feng Mao, which is too naive. He said. Before it fell, a golden old mace was already in his hand, then. As soon as the golden old mace was sacrificed, it immediately brought a golden thorn to the trapped formation in front of him. From Feng Buchuan's point of view, his move could easily break the formation of mortal pinnacle. But when his golden old mace pierced the sleepy formation in front of him, the sleepy formation only shook violently, and returned to its original state again. Feng Buchuan was suddenly startled. How could it be possible? No, this is not the formation of mortal rank peak. This is the formation of mortal rank. How could it be possible? How can you, a mortal sacred kid, spur the formation of mortal rank? Method. When he understood that the trapped formation in front of him was a land, Feng Buchuan no longer had the calmness he had just done. He didn't expect that this ancient medicine hall would have a land formation, and even his ancient Fengzhai was not qualified to invite land. The master of the rank array layout is far inferior. How did his Jiyu Fengzhai ancient medicine hall do it? Moreover, when the formation of the ancient medicine hall was arranged, He had not received any news. Feng Buchuan would never have thought that the formation of this place was not arranged by the ancient medicine hall invited by the master of the formation, but by Qin Chen himself overnight. If it's just a Fanpin's formation, Feng Buchuan would naturally not take it seriously and could easily break open. However, even if the terrain's formation cannot kill him, it can still trap him for a period of time. Get out of trouble, the Jiyu Fengzhai he brought. Paladins in other places are in danger. He can be unafraid of this ordinary land formation, but his subordinates can't. No, you have to break the formation quickly. Boom. Feng Buchuan suddenly burst into flames from his whole body, and the scorching aura instantly lingered in the entire space. He wanted to break through the surrounding large array for the first time, but his attack had not been displayed yet, and the whole large array was once again trembling. Immediately afterwards, a horrible light that he could hardly catch surrounded him, bringing him a strong sense of threat. No, this is not just a troubled formation of land products, there are killing formations inside. At this moment, Feng Buchuan was about to collapse suddenly, with a land-based trapped formation and a land-based killing formation. Waves of cold sweat had already appeared behind him. He has tried the sleepy formation just now, the power is extremely terrifying, now he can only hope. This killing array is not so powerful. Feng Buchuan couldn't think too much, the flames on his body shook, a red flame armor had appeared on his body, and at the same time, the terrible threatening light had blasted on his body, and it was suddenly emitted. The dull sound of poo-poo. It's just that without waiting for Feng Buchuan to breathe a sigh of relief, countless horrible sword lights have swept toward him, and these sword lights contain a terrible killing aura, completely enveloping Feng Buchuan. Feng Buchuan was shocked and hurriedly resisted, but in a hurry, there was still a lot of terrible sword energy, as if penetrating the void, and instantly fell on him. Space rules. He was even more shocked, but when he found that these sword auras did not pose too much threat to him, he breathed a sigh of relief, but this breath had not had time to fall, and there was a bang, a terrible pressure. Swept all at once. Halloween Demon Slayer Array. Accompanied by the coercion of the 10,000 sacred demon array, there were endless killing sword lights, which combined with the array lights, crazily enveloped him. Although these formations and swordsmanship could not bring him fatal damage, they would not be fatal and could not hold up much. Qin Chen sighed slightly. The warriors in the Mid-Earth Sage are indeed powerful. His formation can kill the strong men at the peak of the early Earth Sage, but when facing the warriors of the Mid-Earth, it is not enough. Not only formation, even Qin Chen. The sword light with the terrifying killing aura could not bring fatal damage to Feng Buchuan. However, Qin Chen did not relax at all. After trapping Feng Buchuan with the trapped formation and this killing formation, he did not want to attack him. He was deducing his kendo skills, and the sword lights merged together. Under the impetus of Yu Jianshu, constantly. The sacrifice. Qin Chen has never played against a master in the middle of the Earth Sage. If he is outside, he will definitely not have the idle time now, but in this formation, it is an excellent opportunity. If Qin Chen does not use it, then that's a fool. At the same time, Qin Chen also secretly admired Feng Buchuan's strength. Although he was trapped by his formation, he hadn't been injured yet. At best, the Saint Yuan had suffered some damage. Qin Chen affirmed that if it drags on for too long, these formations alone will not be able to trap this unconventional group. After one time, the opponent will definitely be able to kill out. Once he gets out of the trapped formation, then those who are at a disadvantage will inevitably be it was Qin Chen himself. It's a pity that I haven't been able to break through the Earth Saint realm, otherwise it would be so troublesome. However, Qin Chen was not worried. Once Shang Gukong and the others had cleaned up the remaining 7 sage martial artists, they would come to help him deal with Feng Buchuan. At that time, even if Feng Buchuan was more powerful, he would not be able to eat. Ah! A scream came, but Feng Buchuan heard it clearly. He knew it was from the person he had brought. Jai Lord, save me. Master Jai. Sounds of fright and anger sounded one after another, turning left and right, so that Feng Buchuan could not capture the direction at all. Smelly boy, if you have a kind, you will fight me upright. Feng Buchuan roared again and again. At this moment, he has no horror, only boundless anger in his heart. He could not hear the battle in this trap, but now listen arrived, it is clearly the other party. Deliberately. Ha ha ha, have a dignified battle with you. Feng Buchuan, you old thing brought so many sage masters to come, and you are also worthy of a dignified battle, don't you feel ashamed? Qin Chen sneered and showed his full swordsmanship. At first, his sword. The law could not be completely connected. Afterwards, Qin Chen's swordsmanship was completely free, and the killing sword aura formed the formation of sword aura, which actually integrated the formation into the sword. This feeling. Qin Chen's heart was shocked, as if a ray of light lit up in front of his eyes. It seemed that he had peeped into a new kendo realm. Qin Chen, who integrated the formation into the sword technique, immediately increased his power. If Qin Chen's sword aura was unable to break Feng Buchuan's defenses at the beginning, then Qin Chen's sword aura can already be hurt. It's not grouped anymore. Although Feng Buchuan was extremely angry, his heart became more and more frightened and more shocked. If he hadn't experienced what happened today, someone would say that an attack from a mortal realm peak martial artist could hurt him, he would never believe it. No matter how powerful the Saint Realm peak martial artist is, no matter how strange the sword is, it is impossible to harm. He is a strong man in the middle of the Earth Sage. But today, this young man in the ancient medicine hall did it. What kind of monster is this guy? Feng Buchuan's heart became more and more alarmed. The swordsmanship of the mortal Saint Realm warrior in front of him was not only weird, but the sword light inspired by his monster sword had faintly formed a sword light array. This formation was a bit strange at first, but later it became more and more sophisticated, and even formed a ladder attack. This is not a sword technique at all, but a formation technique. A mortal martial artist can actually combine his sword light into an attack formation equivalent to a land grade. How bad is this? The one who can do this is obviously at least a master of formation. But how is this possible? Array layout has a great relationship with cultivation base, just like a pharmacist. If the cultivation base does not break through the earthly saint, it is almost impossible to refine the earth-grade pill, because whether it is sentiment, soul, spiritual power, and cultivation have not reached this. How can it be refined? The formation mage is naturally the same. How could Qin Chen, a mortal martial artist, control the formation of the land? No, it is not impossible. In the history of the celestial realm, some unparalleled powerhouses can still do this, but none of these powerhouses is not the strongest powerhouse in the celestial realm. Once a person possesses such a talent, as long as he does not fall, once he grows up, Tianxing is definitely a lowest starting point. How could such a character come to their Tsunxuan city, and even happen to be met by him? Thinking that Qin Chen was such a heaven-defying figure, Feng Buchuan was sweating more and more. Although it was ridiculous, it was indeed the first time that he had frightened a mortal paladin. He had already thought that the formation of trapped land in front of him was not arranged by the master of the formation requested by the ancient medicine hall, but by the mortal martial artist in front of him. Be trapped in the formations of this mortal martial artist, and still in. Against the trend, can he not be frightened? He can only break the formation and defense, there is no way to fight back and attack the opponent. It can be said that from this point of view, the opponent is already invincible. He must go out as soon as possible, otherwise even if his cultivation base is too high for his mid-sage, he will definitely die in the end. Qin Chen was also depressed, and he could now be said to occupy innate advantage. Feng Buchuan could only find a way to break the formation, but couldn't directly fight back against him. All his attacks were blocked by the formation, and even so, he still couldn't hurt Feng. No group, his trapped killing array is still getting more and more wobbly. Obviously, if he wants to continue like this, even if he has a formation, he won't be able to hold on to the moment of killing the group. The mid-level landgrade powerhouse is really powerful. It is not at all that this ordinary landgrade formation plus he can kill. Fortunately, he spared no expense in materials, promoted the trapped slaying formation to the ground level, and deployed the 10,000 sacred candle demon array, otherwise, it might be granted. Not the group broke out long ago. Although his own swordsmanship is powerful, it still does too little damage to the mid-level experts. Unless he displays the mysterious rust sword to stimulate the terrifying force inside, although Qin Chen has a bit of control over the mysterious rust sword, but he is not yet. I want to use the mysterious rust sword here. He always suspects that the mysterious rust sword has some connection with the heavens, so he must be more cautious. It seems that I have to break through the Earth Sage as soon as possible. I have been unable to break through the Earth Sage, and it has too much influence on myself. Qin Chen's eyes were cold, and at the same time he urged his sword light, a cracked Sky Divine Mark was displayed. Splitting the Sky Divine Mark is the most powerful move he can control in the Forbidden Land, and it is also one of his unique skills besides the mysterious rust sword. I saw in the void, a series of terrible lines appeared. These lines appeared between the sky and the earth, which immediately caused the whole world to change. The terrifying space magical powers were like whirlpools, and they suddenly entered Feng Buchuan. Body. In the body. Puff. Feng Buchuan, who was still anxiously thinking about how to escape before, spouted a mouthful of blood. He looked at Qin Chen in horror and roared, "What magical powers are you? Cracking Sky Divine Mark is really powerful." When Qin Chen saw this, he was overjoyed. This rifting Divine Mark was so powerful that he could not imagine that the combination of formation and space rules could cause such an effect. Although Feng Buchuan was only slightly injured, as long as he could hurt the opponent, he could behead it a little bit. Qin Chen raised his hand, and suddenly, the second and third rifting divine marks rushed over frantically. "Damn, brat, do you really think I can't help you?" Feng Buchuan felt the crisis of life and death and could not care about other things. Poof, he spewed out his blood, his tongue was spring thunder, and he jumped up, his hands were intertwined with complex handprints, a force that shook the world, merged into the blood, bred in his hands. Boom. In his body, a terrible blood burst out, similar to bloodline power, but not bloodline power, but a source of power integrated into himself. Moreover, a breath of terror flame spread out. The Overlord ascends to heaven, Dari Jinyang. Boom. In the crisis, Feng Buchuan also tried his best. He burned his origin, and saw countless mad dragon-shaped air currents rotating around him, going to the sky and wandering, holding the four directions, golden flames, soaring into the sky, as if rising. A big day. Best in the world. He blasted a punch, and the infinite power was concentrated to a single point, and suddenly burst out. The rules of the heavens circulated on his head, forming the rules for mastering punishment and judgment, and burst out frantically. Boom. Suddenly, the wobbly formation burst suddenly, and explosions occurred everywhere, and the surrounding area was originally blurred. At this time, the fog dissipated, and everything around was clearly revealed, and the ancient medicine disappeared around. Master etc. People suddenly reappeared, including the masters of the divine sage of Jiyu Fengzhai. At this moment, in the big formation, the remaining 7 masters of Jiyu Fengzhai, 2 of whom had fallen, and 5 others, were wounded on their bodies, and each was extremely embarrassed. Seeing that the predicament disappeared, Shong Gukong, the ancient medicine master, and Ariane Xian all looked surprised, but the 5 ancient Fengzhai experts who were still alive all showed ecstasy and were shocked by the power of the seal, very excited. This is the majesty of Master Zhaiju's overlord tactic, supplemented by the heavenly sacred fire and golden flames, which can penetrate the eternal age and break the future. Ha ha ha, these guys think that if you trap Master Zhaiju with the land formation method, you can kill us. It's fantastic. Now Lord Zhai is out of trouble. Kill this kid, rescue me and wait. We also cooperate with the action. Once Lord Zhai takes action again, this kid must be seriously injured. We take advantage of his illness and kill him. The remaining 5 ancient Fengzhai Di sage masters roared again and again, extremely excited. Little dust. The ancient medicine masters exclaimed in exclamation. Damn, I don't think this mid-sage powerhouse is so strong, but it's okay, but the trapped formation is broken, but the Halloween demon slaying array and the killing array are still there. The world overlord secret art? Dari Jinyang? I think it's you today. I live or live. Qin Chen glanced hard. Qin Chen also fought away, his stern eyes, facing Feng Buchuan's blow, did not move at all. Suddenly his body shook, crackling, endless thunder light wrapped his whole body, his body flashed, unexpectedly formed several exactly the same myself, every Both of them released terrifying power, and at the same time played the trick of splitting the sky against Feng Buchuan. This is the first time Qin Chen's thunder secret technique has been used in the heavens, and the terrible murderous intent of holding the punishment of the heavens burst out. How terrifying is this force? With the supreme sense of destruction, at this moment, no one can describe the scene of Qin Chen's attack, like a punishment from the heavens, holding the rules of the sky. The thunder clone secret technique? No, why is this breath so terrible? Feng Buchuan's scalp was numb, and he shot immediately. He was cruel in his heart, knowing these clones of Qin Chen, but they were just simple clones of Saint Yuan, and there was only one real killer move. As long as the main body is breached, all clones will be destroyed. Now that there is no trapped formation, he does not believe that this kid can stop him. As long as he kills him, the remaining killing formations will all collapse. Kill. Feng Buchuan was also mad, his eyes were red, and he was completely violent. Suddenly, a breath of burning life was conveyed from his body, which was crazy and dangerous. Boom. Suddenly, his aura skyrocketed again, turning into a ***** figure, wearing the Overlord's robe, majestic and invincible, the heavenly Overlord. The Overlord is invincible, the gods pay tribute, the sky is shaking. I am Hao Xiong, Dari Jin Yang, in charge of the sky. Feng Buchuan, incarnate as the Overlord of Gaidai, punched again and rolled out. Heaven and earth really bowed their heads in front of him, and God also lowered that noble head. This punch was an invincible punch, the heavenly breath. Under one punch, one after another retreated, and under the fist wind, the heavens retreated. The others were shocked by this breath. Shongukong and others stopped fighting and looked at this scene in amazement. They knew that this was the blow that decided the battle. Qin Chen was full of thunder, and his body was full of thunderous power, and the immortal Eucharist spurred to the extreme, his eyes burst into the rainbow. It depends on whether you are strong or mine, heaven and earth killing, thunder sanctions, space is respect, time is king, the Eucharist is immortal, eternal. Rotten. Before speaking, Qin Chen's thunder rules, space rules, killing rules, supreme sword realm, rifting divine mark, soul power brewing on his fists, and the 10,000 sacred demon array was also urged to the extreme, punching chop, crashing together. Boom. Qin Chen's whole body was full of energy, the wind and clouds rotated outside his body, the world changed, and the fish and dragons spread. He is like an ancient heavenly monarch, coming again, his whole body is full of light, and he has the might of the top power in the heavens. However, Feng Buchuan was also extremely strong. The two of them collided with each other, and the two of them shook violently. Qin Chen's body shook wildly, and the blood surged in his body. If it weren't for the immortal physique, his body would explode with this blow. Open, the flesh will be destroyed. But Feng Buchuan was not well. Wow, he vomited a mouthful of blood again, and the terrifying power of thunder fell on him. The robe on his body was directly shattered, and the power of countless rules was suddenly scattered. Less dust. Master Zhai. Everyone exclaimed. Pedal. Both Qin Chen and Feng Buchuan were backing away, and under this terrifying blow, it was unbearable. But just as Qin Chen took a step back, suddenly, the void flashed, and Ariane Shiren, who was standing not far behind Qin Chen, suddenly showed a trace of hideousness in his eyes, and his figure flashed through the formation. He actually came directly behind Qin Chen. The fist blasted towards Qin Chen. Dead. He roared, with a hideous face, and attacked outright. This sudden scene stunned everyone, and no one expected that the worship of ancient medicine hall, Ariane Shiren, would suddenly act on Qin Chen. Old Shun, you! Stop! The ancient medicine master and Shongukong were both furious and shouted. Even Qin Tingting, who was paying attention to this place from outside the formation, also killed him, showing anger and going to Qin Chen to resist, but it was too late for anyone. Ariane Shiren was prepared long ago, it was not a temporary motive at all. He used the power of formation that Qin Chen gave him to attack outrageously, so that there was no time to resist. Ha ha ha, you all can't think of it, this Ariane Shiren has already been enrolled by my Jiu Fengzhai. Feng Buchuan clutched his chest, laughed loudly, with blood hanging around his mouth, but he was extremely energetic. The strength of the ancient medicine hall was beyond his expectation, But he was not unprepared, he had already laid down a dark child. Ariane Xian had been prepared for a long time, the fist attacked, and there was no time to react, and instantly blasted on Qin Chen's body, banging Qin Chen directly. Less dust. The eyes of Qin Tingting and others were blood red, and they screamed. Ha ha ha. Feng Buchuan and the others laughed, but Ariane Xian did not laugh, because Qin Chen exploded and turned into countless rays of thunder, without a trace of blood splashing out. I knew you had a problem long ago, Ben Shao has been giving you opportunities, but I didn't expect you to be an outsider's running dog. In the void, a cold voice sounded, and Ariane Xian looked shocked. Just as he was preparing to defend, before he had time to start, Qin Chen's figure had appeared behind him at some point, and punched him like lightning. Dead. Qin Chen blasted out with a punch, grabbing Ariane Xian and reacting in an instant. The rifting divine mark contained a killing fist, including the power of Thunder's ruling, and crazily fell on him. No words can describe it, and Ariane Xian has no assassin that can withstand Qin Chen's full blow. Boom. His body was beaten into a mass of rotten flesh in an instant. Just a punch. Qin Chen directly worshipped Ariane Xian from the Di Sage of Ancient Medicine Hall, and directly beat them into a mass of rotten meat. Containing Qin Chen's full blow attack, even Feng Buchuan would be jealous. How could Ariane Xian be able to resist it in the early days of a holy land? No one can imagine how tragic this scene is, and how dramatic the turning point is. All the remaining Jiyu Fengzhai 5 great earth saints were dumbfounded, unable to believe their eyes. Ariane Xian was an Anzi matter, not all of them knew. How did Qin Chen know? In their hearts, for this young man. Unprecedented fear. Not because of Qin Chen's power, but his wisdom. Now it's your turn. Qin Chen strode forward, killing Feng Buchuan, and booming, he shot with all his strength, showing a momentum of suppression. Dragons and tigers, there is really a terrible mood that dominates the ages. The heaven and the earth are supreme. Dao Hu appeared beside him and turned into Tai Chi Wanxiang. There was a flash of light, the big hand flipped, and another punch blasted towards Feng Buchuan. Go. Feng Buchuan was horrified. He knew that it would be useless to stay anymore. He had lost the heart to resist, and he had to flee from here because of serious injuries. Did you go? Qin Chen's eyes were cold, his murderous intent skyrocketed, and at the last moment, quietly urging the origin of time. The power of time. Boom. Finally, Qin Chen displayed the most terrifying power of time, and Feng Buchuan's actions were infinitely delayed. A terrifying force, like a long river of time, poured into his body instantly. This video will end here.